Namaste. My name is Jayani, and I'm reading this beautiful book called The Song of the Ribhu. It'll be backwards for you. Just salutations to our beloved teachers, beloved Guruji, Shrimuchiji, and beloved Anantaji. I've only got about a half an hour to read today, but I'm very grateful to be here and have this time. Okay. So I opened the book on chapter 23, the exposition of the truth of Advaita, non-duality. To strengthen the knowledge of the undivided Supreme Brahman, I shall tell you further, noble soul, the conclusion that it is only Brahman, the mass of existence, consciousness, bliss, that is ever changeless. And all this duality never exists. The non-dual conclusion is the quintessence of the Vedas. Differences, there are none. Hi Natia. I didn't post the Hangout link. Let me know if you want me to, or if you're happy to watch on YouTube. I'm so happy to be here with you. Okay. Differences, there are none. No differences. No differences. There is nothing that causes differences. There are no elements or anything composed of the elements. There is no world, no objects of the world, no cause, no qualities, nothing at all. There is nothing that manifests itself here as this. There is nothing that manifests itself here as this. Okay, you're happy to watch from here. I'm just going to close the curtain. It's the light. The undivided expanse of knowledge, without beginning or end, the Supreme Brahman, is the one reality. There is nothing that manifests itself here as this, the undivided expanse of knowledge, without beginning or end. The Supreme Brahman is the one reality. It just is. As we are. There is nothing big or small or medium. No front, no back, nothing in between. Nothing difficult, nothing easy, nothing in between. Nothing belonging to others, nothing one's own, nothing in between. Nothing singular, nothing dual, nothing in between. Nothing interior, nothing exterior, nothing indeed at all. What is completely, perfectly full, the changeless, consciousness itself, the peaceful, is the Supreme Brahman alone. How could there be any levels? How could there be anyone who gets this, or achieves this, or knows this, or even realizes this? There is nothing that is all, or little, or both. None that are real or unreal, or both. No happiness or sorrow, or both. No purity or impurity, or both. Nothing lowly or exalted, or both. No here or hereafter, or anything at all. What is universally, perfectly full, the undivided consciousness, the changeless, is only the Supreme Brahman. Oh, these words are just nectar. There is no inquiring disciple, nor is there any guru. There is no knowledge to impart, no ignorance, no sorrowful bondage or liberation, no duality or non-duality, nothing happy and auspicious or inauspicious, no I, no you, nobody at all. What is an expanse of knowledge without anything apart? Undivided, changeless, is the Supreme Brahman alone. There is no foolishness. Just want to check here. I forget. Everything okay? Everything okay? I am a bit of a technophobe. There is no foolishness, no mind, no intellect, no blinding egoity, no thought, no objects, no object perceiving senses, no karma, no individual affected by karma, no body, no experiencer of the body, no life, nothing ever. What is firm and without an atom of anything to perceive, itself of the nature of the perceiver, is the Supreme Brahman. And I read that sentence again. What is firm and without an atom of anything to perceive, itself of the nature of the perceiver, is the Supreme Brahman. It just becomes clearer and clearer, the dreamlike nature of this experience. There is no such thing as enjoyment. No enjoyer who enjoys. No object of enjoyment. No satisfaction. No infatuated fool. No discriminating wise man. None liberated. None in bondage. No seeker after liberation. None differentiated as a devotee. No devotion. No bondage, no soul, nor a lord, what they call the pati. What exists ever as the one, complete and perfectly full. The changeless consciousness is Supreme Brahman. And the mind cannot comprehend this, but it knows itself. Whew. There is no desire, no fruit sought, no action indulged in with desire, no worship, no God to worship, no result of worship, no talking, no subject of which to talk, no results derived by the talk. What exists as permanent, perfectly full, changeless, eternal, consciousness is the Supreme Brahman alone. Tell me if I'm going too fast. I don't know if this was said earlier on, but it's like, how can this be a result of anything? How can that which has no cause be a result of anything? It's only the mind that sees cause and effect. There are no modes of the mind, such as desire, no misleading sankalpas. I don't know what those are, but in brackets it says concepts, volition, or fixed ideas. And then vikalpas, which are dark notions, differentiations, or imaginations. So no misleading concepts, volition, or fixed ideas, and no doubts, notions, differentiation, or imaginations. No sextet of changes like birth and others. No triads of states like wakefulness and others. No fourth state transcending wakefulness and others. No variety of thoughts to pursue. What is ever without the least thing to see, and is ever of the nature of the seer, is the supreme Brahman alone. What is ever without the least thing to see, and is ever of the nature of the seer, is the supreme Brahman alone. There is nothing of the premise or conclusion, nothing of good company or bad company, nothing of knowing or the knowable, nothing of inquiry or practicing, none here who are guru or the disciple, nothing of goal or reaching the goal. What exists as the defectless, perfectly full mass of knowledge is the supreme Brahman alone. There is no holy bath, or holy waters, or holy shrines, no Dharma, no God, no service to gods, no decay, no development, none experiencing these, no charity, no individuality, nothing, no knowledge, no devotions, no actions enjoyed, not an atom of knower and knowledge and such. What exists as the faultless reality, the shining consciousness of the nature of bliss, is the supreme Brahman alone. There is no world with its gradations, no worlds such as nether regions, no objects such as cloth and pot, nothing such as cause and effect, nothing as the manifold cosmic conglomerate, no experiencer of each one of these. What has not the least insentience is full of consciousness, and without a trace of the world, jivas, and the supreme is the supreme Brahman alone. I'm going to read that again. There is no world with its gradations. Sorry, no brain. No worlds such as the nether regions. No objects such as cloth and pot. Nothing such as cause and effect. Nothing as the manifold, cosmic conglomerate. No experiencer of each one of these. What has not the least insentience is full of consciousness, and without a trace of the world, jivas, and the supreme is the supreme Brahman alone. I've forgotten what jivas are. There is nothing that becomes depleted or becomes full, nothing which stands off or fraternizes, nothing which adheres or separates, no earning of victory or defeat, nothing at all of knowing or remembering, no triad of afflictions, such as some word I can't pronounce, Amerikatamika, which is intrinsic nature and such. What is blemishless, attributeless, the eternal, the ever-present consciousness is the Supreme Brahman alone. Hi, Amaya. Thank you for being here, my love. Love you. Thank you for the password. Oh my God. I just love this book. What's not to love? There is no triad, although some of these words I don't know what they mean because I have no background in this whatsoever. There is no triad of sattva, which is illuminating or joyful. Oh yeah, that's like sattvic. So there is no triad of sattva, illuminating, joyful, and other qualities. No variety of religions like Savia and others. No wondrous Vedantic religion. No varieties of Agama and other scriptures. No word to explain non-duality, nor any word to explain the identity, in brackets, of the individual and the Supreme Self. What exists as the pure, complete, perfectly full nature, beyond the reach of words, is only the Supreme Brahman. There is nothing as man or woman or hermaphrodite. Nothing non-moving or moving, nor anything as all. There is no sky, no wind, no fire, no water, no earth, no senses, no seeing or hearing or appearing, and nothing that is ever imagined as seen. That what exists as that which is beyond the compass of speech and such, and which is limitless, is the Supreme Brahman alone. And it pops into my head is that Course in Miracles phrase where it says, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Something like that. I can't remember. There is no dear. There is none dear, none good, none wicked, nothing mundane. Sorry, it's allergy season here and my eyes are so itchy. I could actually scratch them out. Drive me mad. Okay. There is none dear, none good, none wicked, nothing mundane or religious, nothing short or long or stout, nothing black or white or red, no gain or loss or in between, no name or form, and nothing manifold. The only thing that exists without anything to be seen is the Supreme Brahman alone. There are no divisions of castes or orders of society, no praiseworthy peace or self-control, no righteousness or unrighteousness, no defect, no quality, none with qualities, no existence or non-existence, no delusion and no consequences of delusion. What exists as the unfragmented and perfectly full, the differenceless consciousness is the Supreme Brahman alone. It's very windy here if you hear the noise in the background. A sip of water. There is nothing as praising or denigrating, nothing to do the praising, nothing of encomium or impeachment. Don't know what that means. No defectless injunctions or prohibitions, no various manuals prescribing these, nothing as oneself or others, nothing at all apart, nothing without blemish, and nothing that is a blemish, and nothing at all. What always exists as completely, perfectly full in changeless consciousness is the Supreme Brahman alone. There is nothing of birth with the growth. There is nothing of birth with the gross and other bodies. No childhood, no youth, no senility, no troublesome death or birth, no relative here, no non-relative, no friends or foe of which to speak, and no divisions such as worlds beyond. What exists with not an atom apart, changeless and undivided, is the Supreme Brahman alone. One second, I just want to wipe my eye here. Sorry. I can't remember. Oh. There are no directions or directionlessness, or the guardians of directions. No Hara, no Hari, no Brahma, which are the destroyer, sustainer, creator. No multitude of gods or demons, no men, no beasts, no reptiles, nor plant life such as forests. What exists as the infinite, supreme consciousness space, the supreme reality, the divisionless, is the Supreme Brahman alone. There is nothing as the experiencer of the individuals in the waking state and such. There is nothing as the cosmic experiencer in the waking state and such. There is no auspicious fourth state or its experiencer. No five sheets such as food or the physical body and others. No mixture of wrong suppositions. Nothing of the world, individuals, and the supreme that seem real. What exists undivided, without an atom without an atom of it perishable, is the Supreme Brahman alone. There is never anything illusory. No time, no space, no object, no contemplation that all consciousness is all Brahman. No bhava of thought that all is consciousness. No differentiation such as Brahman is the only reality. No differentiation such as Brahman alone being reality. What exists without a trace of differentiation, undivided and unwavering, is the Supreme Brahman alone. Hello, my love, Soham. Mwah. I just have to get a tissue quickly. My eyes are watering. Thanks. Oh, I love that one. There is nothing as measuring, nor anything measurable. Nothing gigantic, nothing atomic, nothing in between. No knower, nothing to be known, no knowing. No triads to remember. No delusion that makes one think of me and mine. And no blemish of transmigration. None of any, oh, all, no blemish of transmigration. None of any, or these at all. What exists, limitless as the sky, the undivided consciousness space, is the Supreme Brahman alone. Hi, Aparna. So lovely that you're here. Big kiss. There is nothing sentient as the knower. There is nothing sentient as the object of knowledge. There is nothing sentient as the means of valid knowledge. There is nothing sentient of any other kind. There is nothing created, none who creates. What exists, indivisible, without material modification or illusory transfiguration, is the Supreme Brahman alone. Brahman. I said earlier on, it's allergy season here, so my eyes and my nose are going crazy at the moment. There are no vasanas, but there is no nose running. There are no vasanas, past impressions or tendencies of the mind. There are no functions of the mind. There is no worldly existence like wakefulness and others. There is no worldly minded person seeking these. There never is sorrowful duality, not an atom of sorrow or happiness. What exists unwavering, undivided, perfectly full, with nothing apart, is the Supreme Brahman alone. There is nothing such as manifestations of duality, that the attached body is myself and the world is real. There is nothing such as the witness mode, that I am the witness and all else is apart. There is nothing such as the individual mode, which has the awareness that I indeed am the Supreme with nothing apart. What is devoid of any divisive modes and is differenceless is the Supreme Brahman alone. I love that. I'm going to read that again. There is nothing such as the manifestations of duality, that, in inverted commas, the attached body is myself and the world is real. There is nothing such as the witness mode, that I am the witness and all else is apart. There is nothing such as the undivided mode, which has the awareness that I, indeed, am the individual supreme with nothing apart. What is devoid of any divisive modes and is differenceless is the Supreme Brahman alone. Hallelujah. It's so easy for the mind to try and grasp onto, now I am the, like it says at the bottom here, I indeed am the individual supreme with nothing apart. As if it can be known or grasped. Or the mind, even saying this is the same. Or the modes of the mind do not arise. Or the modes of the mind do not get destroyed. There is no appearance of all the modes of the mind. There is no disappearance of all the modes of the mind. There is no existence of all the modes of the mind. There is no non-existence of all the modes of the mind. What exists without all the modes of the mind and ever peaceful is the Supreme Brahman alone. There is no witness aspect of all the developments of the mind. There is no thought of all. The bhava, or the conviction or attitude or feeling of oneself being Brahman, such as I am Brahman or Brahman is myself, does not have the least existence. There are no divisions such as all and witness, and Brahman and the nature of the self of all. What exists totally unaffected by any divisions as the one undivided consciousness is the Supreme Brahman alone. There are no divisions such as all and witness, and Brahman, and the nature of the self of all. What exists totally unaffected by any divisions as the one undivided consciousness is the Supreme Brahman alone. There is no darkness, no light, no space, no sextet of Samadhi at all, no knower of Brahman, none as a great personage, or the greater, or the greatest, or any others. Nothing exists ever. Never is there anything. One who has acquired the undivided knowledge that all that exists is Brahman, of the nature of consciousness, and that Brahman am I, is one liberated from the bondage of mundane misery. One who has not attained this undivided knowledge of Brahman is, indeed, the most unfortunate. One who has not attained this undivided knowledge of the Supreme Brahman is, indeed, intensely sick. One who has attained the beneficial undivided knowledge of the Supreme Brahman is the one liberated from the cycle of birth and death. Hence, all seekers after liberation should, by one means or another, attain the undivided knowledge of the Supreme. I'm going to read two more paragraphs, then I need to go and fetch my children. Oh, I also love this Soham. I love this so much. No absolute statements can be made. Who would make them but that? And that doesn't need to say anything. It alone is. It has no words. Yet is the source of all words. And don't get me wrong, I don't proclaim to know anything, please. One who has the conviction that all is undivided, supreme Brahman, and that Brahman is myself, and attains this firm experience in himself, becomes the nature of that undivided supreme, and, rid of all the concepts, fixed ideas, and notions and doubts and imaginations of differences of the faulty mind, becomes liberated from the bondage of worldly misery. There is not an atom of doubt of what is said. I say this in the name of Shiva. This is the greatest truth. I guess then it's not the words that you respond to, it's that itself speaking. Even if learned with all sorts of rare education, the ignoramus who has not attained the knowledge of the One Supreme, that all is Brahman, and that Brahman is myself, shall never cross the formidable ocean of transmigration. Only he who has attained supreme knowledge, indescribable by words, can easily, crossing the difficult oceans of worldly existence, reach the shore of the perfectly full Supreme Brahman. Only he who has attained the steadfast conviction of the undivided Supreme is the sage of the world. And it seems like that steadfast conviction is not a belief. It's not like there is somebody knowing that I'm the Supreme Brahman. It's just it alone is, and there is nothing else. And there cannot be any doubt there. Because who would have the doubt? Only he who has obtained this I can't read this word. I think it's, only he who has attained the ineradicable conviction of the undivided Supreme is of the nature of the Supreme Brahman. I have explained this to you, Nirdaha, this rare truth, as taught to me by the Supreme Lord. Whoever hears this flawlessly, with a supreme love, even once, will become himself the Supreme. Last passage. There is nothing singular, dual, or plural, nothing with form that is formless, or anything else. No bewilderment or clear perception, no mind at all, nothing great, nothing trivial, nothing else. No world or individual or Lord, no cause or effect or such thing. The luminous supreme Shiva, unaffected by any darkness, is alone that which is ever one. One more. The only reality is Supreme Shiva, who is in the natural state of being without any illusion like Maya, who is the greatest of the great without attachment, who is capable of being measured, has none or any instrument to measure it. Sorry, let me read that again. Who is not capable of being measured, has none nor any instrument to measure it, who is of the nature of immensely great self, who is of the nature of the immensely great self of the world, who is friendly and is unsurpassed bliss, who is permanent purity and full of consciousness, and who is the one, the bondageless, the eternal, of the nature of the liberated. Only he who has known the Supreme Shiva of the nature of knowledge, and which is the illuminator of the illuminaries as the sun, will, by the words of the Vedas, such as Rig and others, by the words of the Guru who teaches these, by the steadfast reflection of reasoning, and by the uninterrupted meditation, become himself undivided Supreme Shiva of the nature of the seer of all, and be rid of the scene that is the bondage of this world. Just looking at the time, I'm going to finish this chapter. Only one who has known the Supreme Shiva as consciousness will attain the undivided supreme liberation. That consists in being established verily as the non-dual, perfectly full Shiva, being rid of all birth, senility, death, and pain and disease, and being ever devoid of any appearance of duality. This is the truth. Thus the greatest Ribhu explained to Nikdaha. Hi Nick, my love. It is the infinite form of our God of gods, in a state of faultless, joyous dance that firmly proclaims the truth. I'm going to read that again. It is the infinite form of our God of gods, in a state of faultless, joyous dance that proclaims the truth. That is only the eternal, partless, delusionless, absolute that remains, after negating all things, to show that the elements and other manifestations are all ever unreal, non-existent, non-existent. I read that again. It is the infinite form of God. It is the infinite form of our God of gods, in the state of faultless, joyous dance that firmly proclaims the truth. That it is only the eternal, partless, delusionless absolute that remains, after negating all things, to show that the elements and other manifestations are all ever unreal, non-existent, non-existent. Thank you, my loves, for joining me. Om Shri Satguru Mujji Ki Jai, Nantaji Ki Jai, and all the other masters in our lives. I love you. See you later. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me.